First of all, comrades, we would like to thank the NCPN for hosting and organizing this important and timely seminar of the European Communist Action, which gives our party the opportunity to exchange views. We deeply believe that our efforts, such as today's teleconference and the rest of the actions that we will be taking, contribute to the development of the struggle and its coordination at the European and the international level. So, comrades, we live in an era that confirms that capitalism cannot serve the contemporary needs of the people and has exceeded its historical limits. It constantly generates poverty, unemployment crises, refugees, and it is identified with the competition and imperialist wars for the pursuit of monopoly profits. Human life, work, peace, security are subordinated to the profitability and confrontations of the ruling classes over markets, transport routes, sources of wealth, and energy reserves. While the possibilities of our era are enormous, science, technology, particularly new technologies, are being used as a means of increasing exploitation, control, manipulation, and repression of the people. Socially produced wealth and progress, which are a result of collective human knowledge, are turned into weapons in the hands of the capital. Today, the contradictions of the system are becoming more acute. The international slowdown highlights the burden of overaccumulated capital, which cannot be invested at a satisfactory rate of return. War economy and preparation that we're seeing all over the world, and particularly in the EU, is not a parenthesis, but is a strategic choice of capitalist states in order to postpone crisis, create new markets, devalue capital, and of course pass the bill on to the people through increased exploitation and cutbacks. We are seeing significant changes in international alliances and relationships. Key factor to this is the decline of the US economic power relative to the strengthening of China, along with the intensification of contradiction within NATO and the EU. Against the Euro-Atlantic alliance, there is now an emerging Eurasian alliance headed by capitalist China and Russia, while states such as India, Turkey, and others are trying to move and balance between these centers, seeking to serve their particular geopolitical interests and strengthen their relative status. Comrades, alliance may change, but what determines their character is their economic basis, the dominance of monopolies. So for us, the dilemma of between a Euro-Atlantic or a Eurasian camp is a false dilemma, as it is directed against the interests of the working class and it undermines the independent struggle to overthrow capitalism. There is no such thing as pro-people imperialism. What there exists are competing centers that divide the world based on profit. In the documents, comrades, of our party's recent Congress, we assess that the current situation is similar to the interwar period, particularly stating that for the first time since the Second Imperialist World War, we are so close to a Third Imperialist World War. This assessment is based on the intensive preparation of the competing poles, while the confrontation is evident everywhere, from military equipment and political alliances to rare earths, crucial resources, technological superiority, artificial intelligence. This is a conclusion that we can also draw from the recent reprehensible US military intervention in Venezuela, which of course, apart from the pretexts used, the real goal was for the US to seize the country's energy wealth and align the region with its economic and geopolitical interests, in the context, of course, of a fierce competition for primacy in the international imperialist system between the US and China. We express our solidarity to the Communist Party of Venezuela and the people of this country, and we believe that the people of the country are the only ones competent to determine developments in the country without foreign interference. We want further to express our heartfelt condolences for the 32 Cuban fighters who were killed by the US military attack in Venezuela. North American imperialism, comrades, emboldened after this intervention, is now openly threatening Cuba, which for 65 years has been experiencing the criminal consequences of a blockade that deprived its people of basic goods and services, considering even a complete naval blockade of the island. Us, the communist parties, are working to strengthen international solidarity, alongside the Communist Party of Cuba and the people who have a revolutionary heritage and thusly can defend the achievements of the socialist revolution, fight subversive actions and difficulties created by the escalation of imperialist aggression in Latin America, Caribbean, and proclaiming steadfastly hands off Cuba and its people. Dear comrades, the imperialist war in Ukraine, following the unacceptable invasion by capitalist Russia, has been going on for 4 years now, with hundreds of thousands of Russian and Ukrainian dead, and despite negotiations, it is escalating. NATO is preparing for a generalized war, strengthening bases, modernizing conventional and nuclear arsenals, supplying Zelensky regime with modern weapons. The EU is strengthening its war economy and its preparations, allocating more than 800 billion for the rearmament of Europe, escalating the attack on workers and people's rights. In the Middle East, the Palestinian people pay the price for competitive plans for energy and commodity transport routes, with their genocide by the murdered state of Israel, with the support of US, NATO, and the EU, promoting now the criminal plan to turn the Gaza Strip into a protectorate and with new annexations of Palestinian territories in the West Bank, as decided by the Israeli cabinet, while the US and Israel, their allies, are once again fanning the flames in the region with a new possible imperialist intervention against Iran. Dear comrades, the Greek government, with the support of the other bourgeois parties, is deepening the involvement in imperialist plans and wars for the interests of the bourgeoisie and the upgrading of its position. The country has been turned into a NATO military base, putting our country and our people in the crosshair of retaliation for the strengthening of the bourgeois classes' strategic relations with the US, NATO, and with the State of Israel. So we ask, what should the people do in this complex situation? First of all, we believe that they should not choose an imperialist camp, nor follow the pretexts of the imperialists on one side or the other. They should organize and strengthen their own independent struggle against imperialist wars and the countries involved in them. Have specific demands, such as those that were in the center of the major strike by dock workers, seafarers, and strategically important businesses in the Attica region last week, against imperialist war and the transport of military equipment, in the context of coordinating the struggle in 6 countries and 20 ports around Europe. Strengthening the struggle to dismantle US and NATO bases, demanding the closure of the bases of war, so that the children of our peoples are not sent to the slaughterhouse of war. Secondly, we believe that it's a need to strengthen organization and struggle in the workplaces, based on the contemporary needs of workers and the people, to match them with today's enormous productive capabilities and potential. To change the balance of power and strengthen class-oriented forces, to link daily struggles with the goal of building a new socialist society, to instill within the working class movement the necessity to concentrate our forces for the overthrow of this exploitative system. Third, we believe that the people must not be trapped in false dilemmas and the reforms of the bourgeois political system. There are attempts to patch things up in our countries with old and new materials in order to channel the indignation into solutions harmless to the system. Especially in times of war preparation, the suppression of the internal class enemy is an important element. In such periods, far-right or fascist forces become useful tools. This is why they are embraced by the bourgeois democracy as just another party, whitewashing the crimes of Nazism and fascism, using their ahistorical and false equation of fascism and Nazism with socialism and communism. The bourgeois leadership believes that a basic condition for stabilizing the system today in this era of uncertainty is to prevent popular indignation from meeting with the revolutionary subversive ideology, the Marxist-Leninist communist ideology. Dear comrades, all our actions, we believe, must lead to the concrete solution proposed by the communists. In the documents of our Congress, we emphasize that the greatest task for every communist is the revolutionary overthrow of the barbarism of capitalist power, of the exploitation of man by man. Especially in conditions such as those that we face today, that have already been described in the previous speeches, we believe that we must courageously answer the question, what are the tasks of communists in the event of imperialist military involvement of our countries? In our party's program, we note that in such conditions of Greece's involvement in either a defensive or offensive war, the party must lead the independent organization of the workers and people's struggle in all its forms, aiming for the complete defeat of the bourgeoisie, both domestic and foreign, as invaders, and to actively connect this with the conquest of power. With the initiative and under the guidance of the party, a workers' and popular front must be formed with all forms of action under the slogan, The people will bring freedom and the way out of the capitalist system, which, as long as it prevails, brings war and peace with a gun to the head. So, comrades, let us become more capable of persuading the people, the working class, for the goal of our struggle, for socialism is communism, a society where work ceases to be wage slavery, where working hours are reduced, unemployment becomes a thing of the past, health and safety in the workplace become a reality, and human abilities develop in all areas without the mediating role of capital and exploitation. A society that can be summed up by the phrase, from each according to their ability to each according to their needs. This is what we propose as the way forward for the people, to join forces with the Communist Party of Greece in our country, to strengthen the organized struggle, to make the popular challenge a comprehensive challenge to the politics and powers of capital. No more time should be wasted on changes in management, but another path should be opened in favor of the interests of the working class and the people, to stop the barbarism that breeds crisis and wars, and to allow the working people to live according to the real possibilities in the 21st century. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Lefteris, for the contribution.